Do you want the patient more lower?
Yes, lower. And then go up a little bit more. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, anyone want to sit here?
Can I?
Yeah.
You need a mouth mirror,
Ooh,
please.
this one.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so here I already have a slow speed that is more for RDHs because it's light.
Medium?
The other ones that we have here are heavier duty and heavy, and we don't want to get used to that because of course, carpal tunnel. I've seen a lot of videos that you posted. I've seen a lot of videos that you've shared with the class. They're great videos, but you want to make sure that you follow the good habits. As I show you how to do this the first time, it's by the book. And then later, once you get your licensure, you could go and modify it the way that you want to do it at your office. So as long as you pass the written exam and bring your 3 patients in, then you'll be ready to polish even at your internship sites or at USC if they let you. But as of now, we can't practice at USC because we haven't passed the written exam and we haven't passed with 3 patients. Once you do that, then you're free to do polishing. And even for when we do the sealants, we're going to be able to do it here. And by the time you're done with the written exam and have your 4 patients come in, then you could go and do sealants at your internship office, which is so cool. Okay, any questions before we start? Okay, so the rheostat is what we need to step on. And we need to make sure that you either pick your right or left foot to step on the pedal. You don't want to use both feet at the same time. You just want to use one. How many people here are right-handed? Most of people? A lot of the times, if you're right-handed, you're going to operate the rheostat with your right foot. But I'm kind of different. I operate it with my left foot. I'm just used to it that way. So either way, just as long as you have control, you'll be fine. You want to attach your slow speed onto the second attachment because the third is for high speed and it has water. If you notice water coming out of here, you just need to turn off the switch on the bottom to make sure that you refrain from the water from going through a slow speed, because technically we're not even supposed to have water coming through the holes. Okay? When you retract, you want to make sure to retract with your mouth mirror, and you want to reflect light, especially in the anteriors, and you want to do indirect vision as well. So you have from, let's say, almost 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock to roll around when you are working on a patient, okay? So 7 to 2, you could roll around. I usually have the patient put their chin up for the anteriors, lean over towards me, and lean away from me. You have to use a fulcrum, which is your ring finger, and technically you want it as close to as possible to the area that we are polishing, like so. And a ring finger fulcrum is ideal, close to as possible when you're polishing. You always want to have the fulcrum on the same arch. So if I'm doing the fulcrum on the maxillary, that means I'm going to be polishing the maxillary. I'm not going to have a fulcrum on the exterior portion of the mouth and on the opposite end, because that's going to be incorrect and that's too much area for you to like have your hands spread so wide. You're going to either have carpal tunnel, or it's going to be when the patient slides their lower jaw, and when they slide the lower jaw, you're going to end up kind of like nicking their gum or being unstable. Okay, so again, fulcrum on the same arch. It has to be intraoral in the mouth, and it should never be a cross arch fulcrum. All right, you always want to have a starting point. when you start somewhere, it's always good to start there all the time so that you could ensure that all the areas have been taken care of. If you start from the anterior and then go on the mandibular and then you go on the premolars and then you go on the molars, you're bouncing around and you may skip teeth. When you are new, you're gonna have disclosing solution to guide you. But in the office, you're gonna be doing this without disclosing solution, and there's gonna be plaque everywhere, so therefore you're gonna have to like know how plaque looks and how to remove it. So it's good to have goggles on when you are doing this, or if you'd like a shield, that helps with the entire face being covered. Okay? So, are you ready? The way that I like to demo this is I like everyone to first, before it's like a dance. We learn one step at a time and then we add to it. So before we even step on the rheostat, I just want you to hold on to the fulcrum and do the positioning like so. Like just move around so that you know how to manipulate the handpiece on the upper right quadrant versus the anterior versus the lingual versus the mandibular. If you don't know where you're going, it's going to be harder and it's going to feel really awkward. It should flow. And when I say flow, when you do this, and if I have a situation where I don't know where to fulcrum, it's going to be awkward because you can't see where you're polishing. But if I have the correct positioning of where I want to be, I will have a better view of what I'm polishing and the patients will be a little bit more comfortable. Okay, so any questions so far? No. So today, the first go around with your group is one person will be here just doing the fulcrum and just moving around like this, just to make sure we do the upper and we do the lower. Then the next person will sit down, you're gonna do the same. Then the third person's gonna do the same. But as you're watching, I want you to watch if they are not fulcruming, because you need constant reinforcement of the fulcrum being on. You can't use a handpiece without a fulcrum because it'll start slipping and sliding and it's gonna be dangerous. So just making sure that you want a good fulcrum and that you also have retraction devices everywhere. And after that, then the second time around, you're gonna do the same thing, but now you get to incorporate the rheostat. So I want you to incorporate holding it like this instead of going, because in the beginning, it'll sound like that. But holding a rheostat at a good steady pace like that is what you wanna do, okay? And you don't wanna, and a lot of people do that in the beginning, okay? So again, cruise control. Then after that, you get to use the prophy paste. Using the prophy paste is a different layer to it. And once you feel how it looks, because when you do prophy paste, you have to step on the rheostat and get some. Because if you just go like this and get it, it's not gonna come out. It's better to turn it on, because that's a little tip and trick as you scoop. And when you do this, you want goggles on, of course, because it's gonna start to splatter. And every time you do prophy paste, it's about 2 to 3 teeth, depending on the size. And then you have to stop, you have to reload, and continue on, okay? Then after, next Tuesday, I'm gonna start painting the plaque so you could see a bright pink color. And then next Tuesday, that's when you're gonna take it all off, using all the techniques that I showed you, okay?
I'll be there.
Hi. All right, so let's start. You always want to make sure that your patient is in a supine position and that both of your feet are on the ground, because you don't want to be crossing your foot at all, okay? you want to start on one arch. So let's start on the lower. When I do my fulcrum, I'm going to be planting it first. I like to plant my fulcrum first. So if I'm gonna do the polishing on the buckle, my fulcrum is gonna be on the lingual, okay? Because I don't want to be on the buckle and it be on the buckle. It's strange. So I'm gonna do a modified pen grasp like this, and then when I turn it on, I want to do 3 swipes. 1, 2, 3. That means distal, mesial, middle, mesial. And when I do that, I want to flare out the cup just a little like this, so it can kind of go underneath the gingiva, but not all the way, okay? So again, it'll be like flared out like this, and it's away from the gingiva where you go mesial, middle, and distal. That's the motion that you want. Then I'm gonna keep moving on. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna pretend I'm getting a little bit more of the prophy paste. And then you could kind of see the way that I am holding it. It's more of like a modified pen grasp. And as I get closer to the anteriors, I'm gonna move to almost 12 o'clock position, like this. And I'm gonna have him put his chin up. So that when I do this, oh my goodness, don't do that. Oh, sorry, thank you. So when I do this, it's harder to like move his lip compared to a real life patient because it's super, super tight. So when I do this, and my gloves are so loose. So right here, I have a fulcrum, and you could fulcrum on the buccal facial if that's the only way you can, okay? And this is where you do this. Like so, okay? It's easier to have him put his chin up in a real life situation. Yes.
So when you're doing this procedure, it's better to like avoid going towards the gums?
Oh, absolutely. You don't want this going like this, going towards the gums.
Okay.
Because imagine how that feels. It's always away. Okay? Once you get to this point, you could, sorry, still continue on. And then if I want to get further back, I could move my fingers up, and then I could go ahead and it'll give me more easier access to get more posterior if I start holding the handpiece up higher. Okay? Then on the lingual, you would just turn. You would just turn the head and fulcrum. And at this point, you want to take the tongue and move it out of the way like so. See how I'm doing that? And then I'm still fulcruming. Like that. And then you're just gonna move where you feel more comfortable, like this. And you can fulcrum like that, okay? So, just as long as you put your fulcrum first, you're gonna be able to manipulate the handpiece, and you don't want like a death grip on it. You want it to be a little bit, that's why earlier it kind of flew out of my hand, because you don't want to like hold on to it so tight, because you're gonna tend to be a little bit more like stressed, and the patient could almost feel it. And what you want to do is just move your wrist as well and use a modified pen grasp to move around. And at the same time, like this, you'd use a fulcrum. Okay? So plant your fulcrum first, do your practices, and then after that, you just polish on the facial, buccal, and lingual. And then this is a bristle brush that you need to switch, so you could do the occlusals separately. You do that in the end, and then after that, you'd put this back, and then you'd go ahead and floss. Floss the patient. So. Like that, because eventually you're gonna have to floss your patient for the entire mouth, and then you're gonna do a final rinse. Okay? So any questions?
I
Yes.
have like two. So how you said like we should avoid